kind of in between official earnings season. Q1 has mostly wound down, and now we're waiting for Q2 to happen in July. But there is this group of companies that is on the fiscal calendar year that reports in the middle part of those. And Micron is one of those. And I haven't covered it for years for this reason, because it is in the middle. But we have to talk about it. It's one of the hottest stocks on Wall Street. And I'm curious, and I'm sure you are too, what does the earnings outlook look like now after the stock has taken off, and what is happening to the earnings and on the revenue side? So let's start off by just looking at the earnings surprises. And I don't think anybody should be surprised that it is a earnings all-star. You can see just the two misses back there in 2022, 2023. But this chart does show you what kind of craziness has been happening here in 2026. We did have a big beat last quarter that kind of started this big rally here, big beat of 38%. And you can't even see the other cyclicalness in this chart because of such a big surge in the shares this year. It is flatlined the rest of it if you look at it only on this 5-year basis. But we have the ability to go back just a little bit, and even just going back, just a little bit back into 2020 here takes away 2026, and you can see that it does have the cycles here where we had some bigger gains, then it gave it up, then it rallied again, then it gave it up, and now we're in this other big rally. And then even going back further, let's see, we're still getting some 2025 in there, but again, you can see just what these cycles, the normal cycles, look like. So we've established this one is out of the norm, and you can see it on this chart right here. And so what does it look like on the price and consensus chart, which should show the huge surge in the earnings outlook for Micron? And it does. So this is kind of more of a messy chart, and we've seen this with a lot of the AI stocks since 2023. But Micron didn't really become an AI stock until this year, really. And so this is where you see the analysts suddenly saying, whoa, we're not pricing any of this in. So we really have to raise our earnings estimates here. And you can see all of the lines are kind of converging. They're on each other. No one really knows where 2027, which is this light blue line you can kind of see back there. And then 28 is now appearing as well. And that is basically mirroring the 2027. We're getting 26 all the way back down here, but that's a big jump up from these other years, including back to 2024. So let's take a look at what that looks like on the detailed estimates. This is one of my favorite pages if you're really digging in a little bit deeper on why a stock is doing what it is, going into an earnings report and then after an earnings report. And this is interesting because we're seeing the analysts being bullish here going into this number. This is the quarterly here. So 3 estimates are up in the last 7 days, as you can see, 5 in the last 30 days. But again, they reported quite a bit ago. And then we have 6 on the last 60 days there. And that is probably more in line from the earnings. But everybody's bullish. Nobody is cutting. They're raising for the year, this fiscal year and next fiscal year. But we're closer now to 2027 on these fiscal year reporters than the rest of the market. And you can see exactly where the current quarter is. Look how bullish it is. 2098 is now what is expected, up from 1972. This is everybody trying to get ahead of this report. And then next quarter, similar bullishness. and then they're adjusting for this full year and then next full year even more aggressively for next full year. And this is what I also like to look at before an earnings report, this most accurate estimate. It's what the last estimate we have is doing. But this tells you the sentiment going into the report. And you can see we're even more bullish than the overall consensus with the most recent changes. 22.17, this analyst is expecting. That's a lot higher than the street. Who's going to be right here? We'll see. And then on the full year as well, that analyst most likely is more bullish as well, because we have 62.60 versus 61.24. And then again, a lot more bullish for next fiscal year as well. Let's take a look at my favorite chart, which combines the earnings surprises with the price consensus. It should look kind of messy as well. It does, but now we can see it's not the earnings surprises though that are really driving it. It is the earnings and the change in the consensus here. Just going back slightly so we can see a more normal market with them. And you can see that the earnings growth has always been there the last couple of years, but it was slower and not as steep. And the analysts are not trying to catch up as much back here, but now they are for next fiscal year and then even 2028. Look at the start of that tan line, and that's showing that the analysts are going to be bullish into the next fiscal year, which is not until next year in the calendar. So a lot going on with Micron, and we love it. We love to see this kind of action. And it's been a while since we had a stock not just take off like this, but have this happen with the earnings, this kind of earnings growth. I'm going back to the detailed estimates because I didn't look at it. It's a big cap company, 638% earnings growth. They only made 829 just a year ago. 6124 now expected. You can see it right there. Here's the 829. And then another 91% for next year, almost another doubling on the earnings. And then revenue. Look at the revenue on this company, 37 billion, which isn't chopped liver by any means, and then up to 112 billion, and then we have 191 billion expected in the next fiscal year, 70% on the revenue growth for next fiscal year. I know I've said with NVIDIA that we would never see what that company has done and continues to do on both earnings and the revenue side, a big cap company that's literally doubling its revenue in just 1 year and then continues to do so. I know I said it, we'll never see that again, but here we are with Micron looking at similar numbers suddenly. So everybody's in this stock. Is it overvalued? That's another question that's good to ask. As the value investor strategist here, we like to look at the valuations. I know everyone who's in it as a growth stock doesn't care. PE is a little higher than what it was when I last looked at Micron a couple of weeks ago. So it's at 18.5, but those earnings continue to rise. Price to sales was always expensive at 22. People have been talking about this, that usually price to sales gets low in the cycle, but this time it's not. It's actually higher than expected. So we're not really getting the value there, but everybody's jumping in to buy the earnings growth and that revenue growth. But even with the crazy revenue growth of over 200% this year, it still has a price to sales ratio of 22. So that's pretty stretched. But you're loving all these numbers. We'll all be tuning in, and I'll be tuning into the other companies reporting this week too, because we still have some other fiscal reporters that are going to get overshadowed by Micron this week, but shouldn't, including a home builder. So be sure to tune in on my Twitter feed or X feed, my StockTwits feed. I'm going to be posting a lot of charts for the other companies reporting earnings this week that you should be watching. But Micron, All eyes are on it. Can it continue to rally like this? And will it beat these now higher estimates that are coming in just the last week? These are all the questions. But my bet is it's going to be beating because it's got the great earnings track record and it's been signaling that it cannot keep up with demand. So this is Micron, ticker MU. Be sure to tune in when earnings season starts after the 4th of July holiday. In the middle of July, I'll be back with some more earnings all-stars charts. And as always, you can get them here on Zacks.com/YouTube. Get them on our YouTube channel. And I'll see you in July.